Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to Sunday school. Last week, if you remember, we learned about Abraham and how God called Abraham and Sarah and Lot out of their home country to a strange country called Canaan. We also learned how Abraham obeyed God and trusted in him even though he didn't know where he was going. Well, today we're going to continue to learn about Abraham's family and see how God fulfills that promise to them. But before we do that, let's go ahead and sing the songs that we learned last week. Let's sing He Owns the Cattle on 1,000 Hills. Ready? Begin. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, the wealth in every mine. He owns the rivers and the rocks and rills, the sun and stars that shine. Wonderful riches more than tongue can tell. He is my father, so they're mine as well. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know that he will care for me. All right, great singing today. Let's sing one more song that we went over last week, because we learned that just like the people in the Tower of Babel, we cannot get to heaven building a big tower or doing whatever we want to do. We have to get to heaven through Jesus Christ and accepting his salvation. So let's sing No, You Can't Get to Heaven Without Salvation. Ready? Begin. No, you can't get to heaven without Salvation. No, you can't get to heaven without Salvation. Shout it out loud and clear. Salvation. Sing it out far and near. Salvation. Great singing today. Now remember, class, that we talked about Abraham and how he went from his home country to a strange country to live, where God had guided them to. Now, after many years has passed, after they finally got to Canaan, Abraham, Sarah, and Lot started their own nation, basically. But with God's promise that Abraham will have a great nation, they had to have a family. And Sarah really, really, really wanted to have a baby. But it wasn't God's plan for her at that time. But because it was needed for Abraham to have a son, to start this great nation, Sarah decides to, instead of wait on God, to take matters into her own hands. Now, have you ever wanted something so badly and you just would not be patient and you decided you were going to try to get whatever that was your own way? Maybe it was that you just wanted you wanted to do something, you wanted to start a project, and mom and dad said, don't start it without me, you have to wait. I'm almost done with what I'm doing, but instead you started on your own and you really, really, really mess it up. Well, that's basically what happened what's going to happen in our story today. Sarah, she really, really wanted a child, but instead of waiting on God to provide for that, waiting on God's plan, she takes matters in her own hands. One day, she tells Abraham that she is just going to allow Abraham to be the father of the child that Hagar will have. So Hagar will be Abraham's child's mom, and Abraham will be the father. But this was not how God had planned it, and she just wanted to have a child. And so unfortunately, Abraham agrees to this, and Hagar and Abraham have a child named Ishmael. This was not the way God had planned, and even though Sarah got a child, had a baby, she still wasn't satisfied, because this was not the way God had planned it to be. God had told her that she would be the mother of this great nation, and she was just impatient. So now Abraham has a son, and his name is Ishmael, and Sarah is still jealous, still wants her own child, but she thought this was going to solve her problems, and it didn't. Now, when we think of something that we really want to do, or we really, really want to have, and God tells us to wait, we need to wait because He has a better plan for us. And we may not know what it is yet, but He has a better plan for us, and we need to be patient. Now, God still doesn't leave Abraham and Sarah just because Sarah disobeyed. He still continues with his covenant and his promise. And we even see in the Bible that this is where God changes Abram and Sarai's name to Abraham and Sarah. Let me read it to you. This is Genesis 17, 5 through 8. So Genesis chapter 17, verse 5 through 8. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. So even though Sarah might have made a mistake, and she was impatient, and she sinned against God, God still did not break His promise towards them. He was still forgiving to them. Now for Sarah, her name was Sarai, and now her name is going to be changed to Sarah. This is verse 15 through 19. And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years bear? And Abraham said unto God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. Now God had a plan. God had a plan to bless Abraham and Sarah with a son, and his name is going to be Isaac. Yes, Abraham and Sarah made a mistake. They did sin against God. But God was ready to forgive them, even though they had failed. And so Ishmael was not going to be the son of this covenant. It was going to be Isaac. And all Abraham and Sarah had to do was wait. Now, I know, boys and girls, waiting is very hard. And we just sometimes want something right now. We want to do something right now. But God has a plan for us. And when His answer to our prayer is wait, the best thing to do is wait, because He has a better plan than we are even thinking in our heads. Well, guess what? Even though Abraham and Sarah were what we would think old, what even Abraham and Sarah would think old. Abraham was 100 years old and Sarah was 90 years old. They had a son, and his son was named Isaac. And Isaac was the son of promise. Now, of course, Abraham and Sarah were so happy about Isaac, and they were so grateful to God. And we're going to see how Isaac becomes that son of promise, that son that they had been waiting for. Boys and girls, when we pray for something, God always answers us. Now, he answers us in 3 ways. Might not be the answer we want. First is yes, and sometimes that's always the answer we want. Then he might answer in no, which is still an answer, and then he might answer in wait. And in this situation where Sarah had wanted and prayed for a son, the answer was wait. And eventually, God had answered her prayer with Isaac. Now, I want to read about the birth of Isaac, okay? So I am on Genesis chapter 21, verses 1 through 3. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. Basically, the Lord, in his timing, answered Sarah's prayer just as he said. All these years, God was telling Abraham and Sarah, yes, I'm going to give you a son. Yes, I'm going to answer your prayer. You just have to wait. And here in this verse is where God fulfills that promise. Verse 2, for Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age at the set time which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare him, Isaac. And this is Isaac when he was born. And this is God's answer to Sarah's prayer. Now, I want you to remember from our story today that we might be praying for something for a very, very long time. We might be praying for maybe a relative to get saved, and we may think this is taking years and years and years. We may be praying for something recent. Maybe someone we know is sick, or maybe we just really, really, really want to get to church and we want all of this this stay-at-home stuff to go away. But we need to remember that we need to wait on the Lord. We need to wait for his timing, and we need to learn while we wait. I'm sure Sarah and Abraham learned a valuable lesson that we should learn today as well. God always keeps his promises. Maybe not at our time, but definitely his time. And so today and throughout the week, I want you to think of some things that you may be praying for and think, God is telling me an answer. It may be yes, no, and wait. You might be at a part where you just need to wait and ask God to help you have patience in praying for what you have on your heart. Next week, we're going to continue to learn about Isaac, and we're going to see that he grows up and he is the promised son. He does fulfill God's promise of having a nation, and that nation is going to be the nation of Israel. Okay, so I hope that you have learned something today, and that I will get to see you guys next week. Have a great day. Okay, boys and girls, let's go ahead and do a craft. So, as you know, today is Mother's Day, and maybe you already gave your mother a gift. Maybe you already made a card for her, or you drew her a picture, or you went with your siblings and dad to get mom a gift, or even maybe you cooked her breakfast. I don't know. But if you haven't made her a gift yet, or if you already have, we're going to do a craft, and it's a pop-up card, and hopefully you can make it for your mom for Mother's Day. Okay, so here's the things you're gonna need. You're gonna need some paper, 2 pieces of paper. Now these are really big pieces of paper so that you can see what I'm doing. It does not have to be this big. It does not have to be any certain color or any certain shape, just 2 pieces of paper. Okay, it could even be printer paper from your computer, like computer paper, or construction paper if you have some from school. Whatever paper you have at home will work. Okay, just 2 pieces. Okay, then you need glue, you need your scissors, and something to color with. Crayons, markers, colored pencils, gel pen, pencil, anything. I have crayons. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do, you're gonna take one piece of paper, and if it's different colors, you have to choose, like which one do I want my card to be mostly the color of. So I'm gonna choose this one, and we're going to fold it in half. Now, my paper is really big so that you can see what I'm doing, okay? So we're gonna fold it in half. Okay, and it's gonna look like this. So I want the color that I want the front of the card is on the outside. So this is your actual card. Now I know my card is a little bit of a different kind of shape. Your card will probably look better because if you're using like construction paper or printer paper, it's a better shape. But I'm using this paper so it's big enough so for you to see. So you're gonna fold it in half like you would a normal card, okay? Then you're gonna take your scissors and you're going to just cut 2 little slits on the top of your card. Now make sure that it's the top where the fold is. You see how there's a fold? You gotta cut the slits on the top where the fold is. If you cut it right here where the opening of the card is, it's not gonna work. So not this way on the top where the fold is. You're just gonna cut 2 short slits or 2 short lines. You're not gonna cut all the way down, you're just gonna cut 2 short slits. Let me show you, kind of in the middle. Okay, so this is the fold, and I cut 1 slit here, 1 slit here. I didn't go all the way to the bottom. I just stopped kind of like an inch and a half down. Okay, so once you've done that, you can put your scissors to the side, and you're gonna fold it down. It doesn't matter to which side. Just fold it down so it's like a little flat. Then we can open up our card, and it has like a little square rectangle thing here. We're gonna push that through. So here's your inside of your card. You're gonna push the flap through and bend it down. So this is what your card should look like when you've closed it. Has a little hole. And then when you open it, it has like a little stair step. Okay? So if you have some siblings like younger than you and they need some help, go ahead and help them. So this is what it should look like. Has a little stair step. This is what's gonna make our card, whatever we put here, pop up, okay? Now, what are we gonna do with this little thing here? We don't wanna give Mom a card with a hole in the middle. So we're gonna take this sheet of paper here. We're not gonna use the whole thing. I'm probably, since my paper is so big, I'm probably gonna just use 1/4 of it. But you could probably use just 1/2 of it, however you think. I would say 1/4. So if you have the same size paper as this, I would just take this paper and fold it into 4, and then have a little bit of a piece here and just cut off one part of it. We don't need the whole piece of paper. Because all we're gonna do with this piece of paper right here is just to cover the hole up, okay? So once you have a smaller piece of paper, however big you want it to be, just go ahead and fold this in half. And then we can slip it over this and it will cover it, okay? And we can make that look nicer if you want to. If you wanted not to use such a small piece, you could use a bigger piece and it would go over it like that too, okay? So I'll use the bigger piece so you can see it better. Okay, so once we have this, we're going to take our glue and glue this down, okay? So I'm going to take my glue. I'm going to put the glue on the actual card. So we'll put some glue on one side of the card. Okay, so I just put enough glue so that I can attach this part to the card. And if you put too much glue, it's okay, because most of our glue will dry clear, okay? So we did it to that side, but let's not forget the back. If there's a flap, you have to glue it down. Okay, so what do we have right now? We have a card with the middle is covered up by paper because of our hole, and then we opened it up and we have a stair step inside. Okay, just making sure my glue is not making a mess on my table, and giving you some time to catch up. Now, when we're finished, we're kind of finished with the front of the card. We're gonna open it up and we see a stair step. With the rest of your paper, remember we didn't use all of our second piece of paper. Okay, with the rest of your paper, you're going to make some sort of sign or something to put on top of this. So I'm just gonna use this piece. It doesn't have to be big, so I'm gonna cut it again. And you can write with your crayons or markers or whatever, a note for your mom. So something short that will fit on this, because you can also write in the actual card. So let me see. I think I'll write, I love you. Okay, and you can be as creative as you want. Draw a picture for mom. Okay, most of this part is going to be you just showing mom how much you love her. Okay, so once you've done something like this short note to her, you are going to actually put some glue on. Okay, so you see this. You're going to put glue right here. Not up here, right here. So just put a little bit of glue. I'll show you. Let's see if you can see the glue on this. Okay, you see where I put glue? You're gonna stick that little note you just made right in front of it and glue it to the stair step. Ta-da! If you want to close your card and kind of rub it down so it will make sure it's stuck. But basically there is your pop-up card. It closes and pops up. Okay? So, like I was saying, we can make this front part of the card a lot prettier. Like writing Happy Mother's Day on this different colored paper. Use your beautiful handwriting that you've learned in school. Happy Mother's Day. That's kind of too hard to see, huh? Let me use a different red. So you can write Happy Mother's Day on the front, and then it pops up, and you can write a little message for mom on the bottom of the card or on top. You can decorate this top part so that it, or draw a picture of you and her. It's all up to you. What you would want to say to mom on Mother's Day. Write that down here. Don't forget to sign your name too. Okay, so that's our craft for today. It's a pop-up card, and all you needed was scissors, glue, paper, and something to color with. Okay, hopefully you were able to make a card. Make sure you tell mom how thankful you are, and tell her how much you love her today. And hopefully this craft helps you do that. Have a good day.